Mineworker Union, NUM, is calling for the suspension of the $8.5 billion climate finance pact. Rich nations agreed to the finance to fund the just energy transition. Now, the union wants further consultations as it says the change may lead to job losses. It also wants the plan to break up Eskom into separate entities halted. Let's discuss this now with NUM's Khangela Baloyi. Thank you so much, Mr. Baloyi, for joining me this morning. I think, first and foremost, maybe let's just discuss, or maybe you can elaborate on the concerns regarding this $8.5 billion pact, and maybe also what are the potential repercussions here for your members and maybe the industry as a whole as well.
Yeah, no, we are calling for the delay in the implementation of the energy transition. Our position is based on what is happening on the ground. You see, when you look at the situation in Komati, you will see that the communities and the workers are left behind while this transition is taking place, and at the same time affecting their livelihood. People have lost their jobs, communities have lost their livelihoods, and that's a big concern for us. We are not in any way saying that there must not be movement from high emitters to low emitters technologies. We are not saying that. All we are saying is that this issue must be stopped or must be put on hold until such time all of us are at the same pace, and understand what is going to happen to people that are impacted by this transition.
Would you then say, you mentioned Komati now as well, would you say there was a lack of, transparency when it comes to Komati?
No, what we are saying is this lack of consultation, especially with communities that are affected. We have talked to the community around Komati and also in Hendrina. There is not understanding of what is happening. Communities don't understand what's happening. They don't understand what's going to happen with their livelihood. All we are saying is that let government put this issue on hold until such time we understand how are we going to deal with the people that are impacted.
And now, of course, I want to talk about, Eskom, the split of the separate units. And this has, of course, been met with some resistance, by some people. So could you maybe explain why you also opposed to the splits of Eskom into separate units? But I think more importantly here is, what alternative measures do you believe Eskom can then do to improve their performance?
Yeah, no, one thing you must know is that unbundling is not going to solve the problems of Eskom. And that's our position. And we have been asking to say that let government and Eskom explain to us how unbundling is going to solve the problems of Eskom. Eskom has got problems of finances. We are owing international institution and local institution more than 400 billion of rands. How is unbundling Eskom going to solve that? All we see is that when you unbundle Eskom, you separate it into smaller pieces so that when you want to dispose it, you can be able to dispose it. And that is a worry to us, that this will lead to the privatization of Eskom.
But what alternative measures then do you think can be done to improve Eskom?
There's a lot that can be done, including the government assisting, Eskom. And Eskom has been functioning properly. Eskom's structure now is vertical integrated structure, which has been functioning properly. The only problem came when there was the introduction of the independent power producers in the form of renewables, whereby Eskom started losing its revenue, based on the fact that these independent power producers have been selling electricity to Eskom at a very high rate, while Eskom is selling the same electricity at a lower rate. So it was eating on Eskom's profit.
All right. So, there has been, some criticism as well. Some government officials actually saying that South Africa's Just Energy Transition Plan, it seems like South Africa is sort of like a guinea pig for the Just Energy Transition Plan. But what is your perspective when it comes to this, and what is South Africa's, how do you judge South Africa's readiness for this Just Energy Transition Plan?
Yeah, because as the organization, we are not denialists of climate change. We are saying South Africa must contribute in solving the problems of climate change. But this must be done in a pace that we can afford as a country. We don't want a hush movement from coal to renewable energy, not taking into account the impact that this transition is having in communities and the workers.
Let's talk about those job losses you mentioned earlier. Maybe just give some clarity on that as well, and your concerns. You said up to 51,000 jobs might be influenced here when it comes to this. Can you maybe provide more details on how these jobs are exactly at risk?
Yeah. You see, a coal power station is labor intensive. It employed more people. Even coal mines are labor intensive. They employ more people, while renewable energy does not employ a lot of people. And then we've seen that in practice, in the Western Cape, in Jeffreys Bay, where there are wind farms. You go there, you'll see that there are less workers that are working there. But when you go to a power station like Duva, in Witbank, you'll see that there are many people that are working there, So we are saying, let's bring in technologies that are going to make us reduce the emissions, including nuclear energy, because we can't only focus on renewable energy.
So energy mix is what you're saying is definitely that needs to be on the cards.
Yeah, a proper energy mix, proper energy mix that is going to take into account that we still need a base load energy.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Baloyi, for your time this morning. Of course, Mr. Baloyi from NUM, the National Union Mineworkers Union, just giving us NUM's whole perspective on the Just Energy Transition Plan, basically saying they're not against it, but there needs to be there is a lot to consider, and South Africa needs more time to do the Just Energy Transition in a manner that will suit everyone.